The problem with being single in a galaxy that suddenly decided to unify dating markets is that you realize how small your options really were back on Earth. I had already exhausted Tinder, Hinge, and the desperate late-night swipes on Farmers Only. The new interspecies app, Cosmic Cupid, promised love across stars, passion beyond boundaries, and an unsettling number of disclaimers about consenting to alien customs that may or may not involve ritual sacrifice. I didn't read them. Nobody reads the terms and conditions unless they want to ruin the fun. The interface was sleek enough: glowing avatars, species categories, preference filters that included things like number of tentacles preferred and digestive compatibility. I swiped left through profiles that made me question biology itself. A slime being named Slurp promised to wrap me in love, literally. A gaseous entity winked in 3 dimensions claiming, "I enter every room before I'm invited." Then there was a sentient egg cluster that wanted me to help incubate its young. I wasn't proud of it, but I swiped right just to see what would happen. It auto-rejected me. My ego took that harder than it should have. Then she appeared. 7 feet of alien warrior perfection. The profile picture showed her standing in armor, glowing tattoos running down muscular arms, tusks sharp but polished, eyes burning like embers. She had a scar that ran from her jawline to her collarbone, and instead of making her terrifying, it just made me curious. Her tagline: "I fight. I conquer. I drink. Swipe right if you can handle all 3. In my defense, I was drunk. Beer courage is universal, even across galaxies. I swiped right and immediately regretted it, but it was too late. The notification chimed. It's a match. My brain froze. She had seen me, 5'10" on a good day, with the kind of body you get from skipping leg day your entire life, and still swiped yes? Either she had a type, or she was looking for a chew toy. My phone buzzed. Message from her: tomorrow. 1900, Sector 12 Intergalactic Lounge. Don't be late. No emojis, no awkward small talk. Just a command. My dating life had officially been upgraded from ghosted texts to military orders. I spent the next day rehearsing alien phrases I found on dubious forums, hoping to impress her. I wrote pickup lines on note cards: "You shine brighter than a dying star," and "Take me to your bedroom, leader." I even tried one alien greeting out loud: "May your eggs hatch without parasites." That one probably wasn't romantic. My neighbor overheard and asked if I had joined a cult. The panic spiraled. What if she actually liked me? What if she wanted to eat me? Worse, what if she wanted to marry me, and her species practiced some kind of violent honeymoon ritual where grooms were used as sparring dummies? My imagination painted entire scenarios of alien divorce court, where I'd argue custody over kids with tusks sharper than steak knives. My friends weren't helpful either. At work, I slipped up and mentioned my date. One guy spit out his coffee. "You matched with a Zarin warrior? Bro, that's not a date. That's a death sentence." Another suggested I update my will, preferably leaving him my gaming console. Dark humor was their coping mechanism. Mine was wondering whether alien insurance covered being disemboweled. Still, I couldn't shake the weird thrill. The thought of sitting across from someone so far out of my league that she wasn't even human gave me an adrenaline rush I hadn't felt in years. There was no swiping fatigue here, no dull banter about favorite Netflix shows. This was a leap into chaos, romance, and possible intergalactic homicide, and I was weirdly okay with it. The night before, I stood in front of the mirror rehearsing. Be confident, don't look like prey. I flexed my biceps. Nothing happened. I practiced smiling without looking terrified. I failed repeatedly. My roommate walked in, took one look at me flexing and mumbling about not looking like prey, and just walked back out without saying a word. That was the correct response. As I set my clothes out for the date, I considered options: casual earthwear, a suit, or a full-on cosplay gladiator outfit I bought years ago for a Comic-Con. My brain whispered, maybe she'll respect the armor look. My sanity whispered back, or maybe she'll rip your spine out for cultural appropriation. I chose a button-up shirt and jeans. A safe middle ground between respectable and please don't kill me. I lay in bed unable to sleep, scrolling through her pictures again. Her smile wasn't exactly warm. It looked like the grin of someone who had just conquered a planet. But there was something else in her eyes. Curiosity. Maybe she swiped on me because humans were new, exotic, unpredictable. Maybe she wanted to try dating one just for the story. Or maybe she had a bet with her warrior squad, who could make a human cry first. Either way, I was committed. Tomorrow, at exactly 1900, I would step into that lounge and face whatever came my way. Fear, humiliation, romance, or death. It didn't matter. I was in too deep now, and hell, if I survived, it would make one hell of a story. Because in the end, isn't that what dating is all about? Taking risks, making a fool of yourself, and praying that the worst thing you leave with is a bruised ego, or in my case, maybe a few broken bones. And with that thought, I finally drifted off, dreaming of glowing tattoos, sharp tusks, and the terrifying possibility that tomorrow might be the beginning of something insane, painful, and, against all odds, romantic. She was taller than the doorframe, and I swear the floor shifted when she walked into the lounge. My first thought was she's gorgeous. My second thought was she could snap me like a breadstick and not even break a sweat. Her armor gleamed, her tusks caught the light, and her eyes locked on me like a predator considering whether I was worth the calories. I stood up too fast, almost tripped over my own feet, and managed a weak hi. She tilted her head, studying me like I was some strange specimen. You are smaller than I expected. Her voice was deep, rich, and just threatening enough to make my knees wobble. I told myself it was excitement, not fear, but the truth was my survival instincts were already calculating exit routes. We sat. I fumbled with the menu while she stared at it like it was written in nonsense, which, technically, it was. She tapped the page with a claw. What is chicken wings? Do they fly away from the plate? I tried to explain, but halfway through realized it sounded ridiculous. She settled on something glowing and steaming while I ordered the safest beer I could find. The silence that followed was unbearable. I panicked and reached for humor. So, do you come here often? Or is conquering humans just a side gig? She narrowed her eyes. For a moment, I thought she was about to pull a weapon, but then, barely visible, a twitch at the corner of her lips. Not quite a smile, but close enough to count as progress. Our drinks arrived. Mine foamed over the glass. Hers smoked like it might be radioactive. She raised it in a toast. To survival. I clinked my beer nervously, wondering if she meant survival of the date or survival in general. We talked or tried to. She described her training, wrestling beasts twice her size, sparring matches that ended in broken bones, tournaments where losers were sometimes eaten. I nodded politely, pretending this was normal date conversation, while internally screaming. She asked about me, and I lied shamelessly. Oh yeah, I work out sometimes. Run marathons. Punch boulders on weekends. She leaned closer, studying me. Your arms look like they would snap during warm-ups. Honesty clearly wasn't working. Her culture confused me at every turn. When I asked if she had siblings, she said, yes. 3. I killed 2. She sipped her glowing drink like it was casual family trivia. I coughed beer up my nose and tried to smile through the pain. She watched me choke and muttered, weak lungs. Fragile bones. Adorable. Somehow, that was the first time she called me adorable. My heart shouldn't have fluttered, but it did. The alcohol helped loosen me up. I leaned in, trying to flirt. You know, for a warrior, you've got a surprisingly soft look. She tilted her head. I pushed further. And, for what it's worth, you've got a cute butt. The words left my mouth before I could stop them. Her face froze. Her eyes widened. The color in her cheeks shifted to a deep crimson glow, brighter than the neon lights in the lounge. For a split second, I thought maybe it worked. She was blushing. Holy hell, I made a deadly alien warrior blush. My pride surged. Then came the silence. Every alien in the room turned their head. A fork clattered somewhere in the back. She stared at me, her expression unreadable. My stomach dropped. Something was wrong. Terribly, catastrophically wrong. She stood. Slowly, deliberately, her towering form cast a shadow over the table. My survival instinct screamed again, but my body stayed frozen, too stunned to move. She leaned down, so close I could feel her breath against my ear. Her voice was low, dangerous, and quivering with something I couldn't place. "You dare." And then bam. Her hand connected with my cheek in a slap, so powerful I was airborne before I realized what happened. The world spun. Tables and chairs blurred past. I crashed into the next booth with a noise that was equal parts squeak and groan. My drink splattered across my shirt. My jaw rang like a gong. Somebody shouted, "Holy shit, he's alive." Another voice laughed. I had 5 credits on instant decapitation. Flat on my back, staring at the ceiling, I realized 2 things. 1. I had no idea what just happened culturally. 2. I definitely still thought she was hot. Painful, terrifyingly hot. Through blurry vision, I saw her standing there, cheeks still glowing, fists clenched at her sides. For the briefest second, her expression softened. She looked almost guilty. Then she turned on her heel and stormed out, her armor clanking like thunder. The bar erupted in whispers. Aliens whispered translations, theories, bets. Human fool. Brave idiot. Mating ritual? Death wish. I groaned, tried to sit up, and immediately regretted it. My face throbbed, my pride shattered, and my body felt like it had been used as a practice dummy. But under all that, some ridiculous part of me was still thrilled. She had blushed. That meant something. Maybe. Or maybe it meant I was about to become an intergalactic cautionary tale. Either way, I knew one thing for sure. That slap still hurt, but the story was only getting started. I woke up staring at a ceiling that hummed, pulsed, and occasionally beeped like it was judging me. My jaw felt like someone had replaced it with a bag of gravel. Tubes ran into my arm, and a faint antiseptic smell reminded me I was in a hospital, though not the kind with bored nurses and bad vending machines. This place had floating med drones, glowing instruments, and a sign above my bed that flashed in 3 alien languages before settling on English. Patient stable. Moron classification pending. Then I saw her, sitting in a chair too small for her massive frame, armor set neatly at her feet, tusks gleaming under the fluorescent light. She looked uncomfortable, like someone forced her to sit through a rom-com marathon without subtitles. For a moment, I thought I was dreaming. Then she noticed me awake, and her eyes locked on mine. "You survived," she said flatly, though there was a flicker of relief in her voice. Impressive. Weak, but impressive. I tried to sit up and winced. My ribs screamed, "You slapped me into next week." My voice cracked like a teenager's. What the hell was that for? Her cheeks glowed faintly again. Blush, I realized. She shifted in her chair, not meeting my eyes. On my world, to speak of one's rear is both insult and proposal. Only warriors who intend to claim a mate would dare such words. It is forbidden unless you are serious. I blinked, stunned. So, I basically proposed marriage and called you an ass in the same breath. Her tusks bared slightly. Yes. I groaned, covering my face with my hands. Great. My dating life was bad enough on Earth. Now I'm offending alien royalty with accidental booty talk. She leaned forward suddenly, her expression sharp. Do not joke of this. You humiliated me before others. But her voice softened, trailing off. Also, you showed courage.
No one has spoken to me that way.
It was bold. Bold? I call it stupid, I muttered, but her words lingered. She was embarrassed, flustered, maybe even interested. The conversation turned stranger. She explained that Zarin bonding rituals were brutal tests of endurance, often involving combat, blood, and sometimes pleasurable trials of stamina. I tried not to choke on my own saliva at that phrasing. Pleasurable trials? I asked carefully. She tilted her head, completely earnest.
Yes.
We test our partners in the ways of both battle and union, to see if they can survive us. My brain short-circuited. Was she talking about sex or a duel to the death? Maybe both. Either way, my odds weren't good. I deflected with humor. Look, I can barely survive Taco Bell, so maybe I'm not cut out for intergalactic bonding rituals. She frowned. What is Taco Bell? A rival clan? Hospital staff drifted in and out, whispering and laughing. Word had spread. The human who told a warrior she had a cute butt. Nurses passed my bed smirking. One doctor actually gave me a thumbs up, mouthing respect. My humiliation was now a galactic meme. Meanwhile, she didn't leave my side. At one point, she brought me alien broth that smelled like melted batteries. It will strengthen your bones, she said seriously. I took one sip and nearly gagged, but her expectant look made me gulp it down anyway. My stomach rumbled ominously. She nodded, satisfied. Good. You are willing to endure. The sexual tension in the room was unbearable. Every phrase she said had double meaning, even when it wasn't supposed to. Your stamina must improve. You must harden yourself for what is to come. If you are too soft, you will break. I wanted to laugh, cry, and flirt all at once. So, I said cautiously, when you slapped me, was that a rejection or foreplay? Her blush deepened, and her tusks gleamed as she gave a slow, toothy smile. Both. I didn't know whether to be terrified or aroused. Honestly, it was both. The longer we talked, the stranger it became. She confessed she had never considered a human as a partner. Your bodies are fragile, but your words amuse me. Your spirit is unpredictable. That intrigues me. For someone who looked like she could crush steel, she suddenly seemed awkward, vulnerable. And damn it, I liked it. I cracked jokes about needing a helmet if we ever kissed. She countered with, your face would not survive my passion. But perhaps I could restrain myself. Her voice dropped, low and husky, and every nerve in my body lit up like a Christmas tree. By the time visiting hours ended, I realized I wasn't just surviving this insanity. I was hooked. The pain, the humiliation, the cultural confusion, it didn't matter. Something about her fire, her strength, and the way she blushed at the stupidest things pulled me in. Before she left, she stood over me, towering as always, and said, tomorrow, you will attend the bonding ritual. You will prove yourself. Bonding ritual, I echoed, voice cracking again. Just to be clear, we're talking Fight Club or Sex Club? Her grin widened, tusks flashing. Yes. And then she walked out, leaving me hard, confused, terrified, and ridiculously eager for whatever came next. The next day, I found myself dragged from the hospital and shoved into something that looked halfway between a coliseum and a bedroom set designed by someone with a very confusing kink. Torches blazed, alien drums pounded, and a crowd of warriors circled us, chanting words I couldn't translate, but had a distinct wedding/execution vibe. I stood there in a borrowed robe that didn't close properly, feeling like the world's weakest gladiator, while she entered in full battle armor, tattoos glowing like molten metal. She raised a massive goblet and shouted something in her tongue, the crowd roaring in reply. Then she handed me a smaller cup filled with a liquid that hissed like acid. I sniffed it, and my nose hair nearly fell out. Is this wine or battery acid? I asked. She answered with a smirk. Both. I downed it, gagged instantly, and the audience cheered like I'd just survived round one of foreplay. Next came the sparring. Apparently, part of the bonding ritual was proving your stamina against your chosen mate in combat. She lunged at me, blade in hand, and I did what any self-respecting human would do, screamed like a coward and dodged. The crowd roared with laughter. She swung again, this time deliberately slow, giving me a chance to parry with the wooden stick they'd shoved in my hands. The impact rattled my bones. I nearly dropped the weapon. She whispered, low enough only I could hear. Good. You last longer than I expected. My brain short-circuited at the double meaning. Every time she slammed me to the ground, she added commentary that could have been pulled straight from a very aggressive bedroom roleplay. Show me your endurance.
Wham.
Prove you can handle me.
Slam.
Harder, human. Put your strength into it.
Crash.
The crowd roared approval, and I couldn't tell if they were enjoying a fight or watching a live sex show. By the 10th knockdown, my robe had torn, exposing more than I was comfortable with, and her blush had returned, glowing brightly against her skin. She pinned me to the ground, breath hot on my face. You are fragile, but you rise again. I find this intoxicating. For a second, I forgot about the pain, lost in her eyes. Then she yanked me back to my feet like a rag doll and announced to the crowd, "He endures." They erupted into cheers, stomping, horns blaring. I stumbled, dazed, muttering, "I think I have a concussion," but no one heard me. The ritual shifted from violence to intimacy, with terrifying abruptness. She pulled me close, her tusks brushing dangerously against my cheek, and kissed me. Not a soft, romantic kiss. More like she was trying to claim my soul through sheer force of lips. The crowd howled approval. My knees almost buckled, not just from the pain but from the sheer intensity of it. I'd been kissed before, but never like I was being devoured by a goddess of war. When she finally let go, I gasped for breath. Holy shit. First kiss, and I need CPR. She tilted her head, confused. CPR? Is that another mating technique? Someone in the audience shouted. He lives. The human survives the kiss. Bets were being exchanged openly. A tiny alien scuttled past yelling, "Put me down for 10 credits, he doesn't survive the honeymoon." And then came the final stage, vows. She declared hers in her booming warrior's voice, promising to fight beside me, protect me, and, slightly concerning, break me only in ways that make me stronger. Then she turned expectantly to me. My brain scrambled for something profound, but all that came out was, "I vow to not die during sex. And maybe do the dishes." The crowd erupted again, this time with laughter so loud I thought the walls would collapse. She smiled, actually smiled, not just a predatory grin. Her tusks glinted, her eyes softened, and for the first time, she didn't look like a terrifying alien warrior. She looked like someone who, against all odds, actually liked me. The ceremony ended with the two of us raising our cups together while the crowd chanted what I eventually realized was their word for mate. She leaned down, pressing her forehead to mine, and whispered, "You belong to me now." Normally, that sentence would terrify me. And it did. But in the same breath, it thrilled me. My ribs ached, my face was bruised, my dignity was scattered across the arena floor, but my heart was hammering like I'd just won the lottery. The crowd dispersed, still gossiping. A few warriors slapped me on the back, so hard I almost blacked out again. She kept one massive arm around me, steadying me as if I were a prized possession rather than a fragile little human who'd accidentally proposed by complimenting her ass. As we walked out together, I muttered, "So, does this mean we're official now?" She gave me that glowing blush again, tusks flashing in a grin.
Yes.
You are mine. And tonight, human, you will face the final trial. I swallowed hard. Final trial? Please tell me it's dinner. Her grin widened. Dinner, and everything after. The slap still hurt. My ribs still ached. But as her grip tightened around me, pulling me closer, I realized something terrifying and exhilarating. For the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of love hurting. I was afraid of how much I wanted it to. And that, apparently, was how I became the human idiot who told a fearsome alien warrior she had a cute butt and ended up living to tell the tale.